Georgia Tech, came in at 7-4 with Brent Key, who's in year 2 of his Please Don't Fire Me tour. Georgia fans thought this was going to be a highlight reel kind of day. Nah, bro. The Dogs looked like they were still in line for Black Friday deals at halftime. My guy Carson Beck couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat in the first 2 quarters. 0 points. 137 total yards? Oh, and they coughed up a fumble just to add some salt to the wound. And Tech are out there thinking they've got a chance to be the Grinch that steals Georgia's playoff hopes. I mean, it's like they forgot they've dropped 6 straight in this rivalry. Spoiler alert, they didn't finish the job. Dogs woke up. Eventually. But let's just say Georgia ain't getting a Christmas card from Vegas after this one. Friday's first half in Athens was bizarre. The freaking Dogs couldn't buy a bucket in the first 2 quarters. You gotta go back to 2019 against Kentucky to find the last time Georgia put up a goose egg in the first half. Embarrassing. Somebody hit the snooze button on this offense. Meanwhile, the Yellow Jackets, were out there looking like they owned Sanford Stadium. Haynes King was straight dealing. Georgia Tech racks up 307 yards of offense before halftime like they're the Chiefs or something. Even with a missed field goal, they waltzed into the locker room up 17-0. You could hear a pin drop in Athens. To make things better, ESPN drops this stat bomb. This was the first time since 2014 that UGA gave up 100-plus passing and rushing yards in the first half. Unreal. Of course, Dogs fans were mad as hell, and who do they blame? Mike Bobo. You gotta have a scapegoat. Offensive coordinator catching more heat than a tailgate grill in July. Dog Nation isn't built for patience, and trust me, they're gonna be calling for his job a lot more after that game. But let's not ignore the choke job by the Bees. They were buzzing with a 27-13 lead with like 5 minutes left in regulation after Haynes King, also known as the King of Blowing Leads, took it to the house on an 11-yard run. And then, Collapse City. Population, Georgia Tech. This game was all-time entertainment. But come on, Georgia Tech, you had one job and you folded like a cheap lawn chair. Meanwhile, the Dogs proved they own this state. In the end, Georgia bodied Georgia Tech 44-42 in what might go down as the second longest game in college football history, but it felt like it lasted longer than my last relationship. Okay, here we go. A swarm of the refs won it for Georgia take. Let me guess. You're one of those anyone but the SEC fans, huh? Cry me a river. Was it the refs who made Georgia Tech blow a 17-point lead, or was it just their inability to seal the deal when it matters? Asking for a friend. Look, Georgia didn't exactly look like world beaters early on. That much is true. I personally think they're pretenders, who'll have their butt handed to them by Texas next week. But saying they don't belong in the playoffs? That's laughable. They gutted out a win in 8 OTs, and that might be embarrassing to some. But last I checked, that's what championship-level teams do. Find ways to win? At the end of the day, the Dogs walked out with the dub, and Tech went back to Atlanta with a participation trophy. You want to talk overrated? Let's talk about how Georgia Tech acted like they were ready to hang with the big dogs for 4 quarters. SEC dominance continues, and all the whining in the world ain't gonna change that. Refs or no refs, Georgia's still sitting pretty. Deal with it. Fight me in the comments.